Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening from. If you would feel like leaving a comment, that's just fine. I'll wait just a little bit longer to let other people join. Looks like there's maybe 10 people here. Just so that I know that you can hear me, somebody just type a little quick comment in the chat to say hello or something like that. Thanks, Donna. Cynthia, thank you. Okay. Barbara, hi. Kimberly, Donnelly, good to have you all here. So I'm going to get started. And I put a poll out early in the day yesterday asking if anybody was interested in talking about tracking, and I wasn't real specific. And I got at least 50 responses saying yes. And so I thought, let's have this conversation. So, and as you'll notice, in the meeting invite, I attached a document, and that document is Dr. Berry's PhD guide. So that way, if you hadn't had the opportunity to see it or download it, I put it there for you. And I'm going to call out a particular page. Let me bring it up here. No. For some reason, it doesn't want to display. Go back down here. Oh, I know why. Okay. So in that booklet, that electronic booklet, it says start here. And those of you who've been around for a little while know Dr. Berry is not really big on tracking in general. In fact, if you look at this page, he's more interested in carbohydrate intake than anything. And he gave an example down here of a person named Sally, height 5'2", ideal weight's 120. So they calculated her range to be 90 to 120 grams of protein, 80 to 140 grams of fat, and total carbs of 20 or less. It doesn't say, but it's usually 20 or less. So basically, what that is, it's a 1-to-1, almost a 1-to-1 protein to fat ratio. So if you want to weigh 120 pounds and you're currently 140 pounds, you should have an intake of 120 grams of protein per day. So, and on this page, it says count total carbs, keep them under 20 per day or lower. And then it says protein, eat fatty cuts of meat till full. This is usually between 90 and 140 grams per day, depending on your height and your weight. And then the fat, there's a little bit more detail about the fat. And the fat says fat intake should be roughly the same range as your protein intake in grams. If you are eating fatty cuts of meat and cooking your meats in fat, this should take care of itself. If you find you're not tolerating the higher range of fat, then lower your fat intake. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. You probably didn't hear any of that. Okay, so looking at this document, because I think I might have had my computer muted, but looking at this document, you can see the fat to protein ratio is typically a 1 gram of protein to 1 gram of fat per pounds of ideal body weight. So if you were 120, you would do 120 grams of each one. But if you can't tolerate that much fat, then you have to cut back on the fat a little bit. Now, why did I bring this up? It's because Dr. Berry recently interviewed a physician, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, who wrote a book called Forever Strong. And since of an age group that typically has been linked to not eating enough protein in general, I just thought, well, I'm going to read that book and I'm going to see if this, if this more protein is something that I want to go with. So as I was reading the book, I think I'm about halfway through. I'm doing a book club discussion too. The next meeting for that is, I think it's next Thursday or Friday. It's in the live stream and Q&As section. We only got to chapter 1 with the first meeting because I had trouble with the Zoom link. So anyways, and she's basically saying the same thing, that if you say you weigh 140 and you want to weigh 120, that you should have a 120 grams of protein per day. Timing of the meals is just a little bit different, but I thought, I don't even know. I haven't tracked my macronutrients for quite a long time because I've been eating keto and or carnivore for the last 6 years. So I started tracking, and I've always used Cronometer in the past, so I'm comfortable and familiar with Cronometer. So that's what I'm using, and I figured I would do it for 2 weeks just to get a feel for, and I'm not restricting anything. I'm just, putting down everything that I typically eat. So I am going to share my screen so we can see the Cronometer. Okay, so this is the computer version of Cronometer. There's also an app you can get on your mobile phone. So, and this is what they call the dashboard. And I have an account. So they say here, quick add to diary. So let me just show you. So if you click on the word food, okay, so what you see here on the screen is everything that I've logged to date so far. So I had coffee with cream. I actually had 2 cups of coffee. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the right date. This is the wrong date. Let me see if I can find the right date. This is, it says today. Oh, here we go. Okay, coffee with cream 2. And you can make custom recipes. And so I made a recipe. I always measure out my cream, and I use 1 tablespoon of cream per cup of coffee. And so I just put 2 here. So as you can see, this gave me now normally, don't get too hung up about this, but normally Dr. Berry doesn't care about calories, but that's how Cronometer tracks it. So it tells me that this coffee was 106.48 calories. And then I had went to the gym, worked out, and Dr. Lyon's book, she recommends drinking a protein drink right after weight training. And this particular health code brand drink is one by Ben Bickman. So I feel confident that that's the right one. And it's just in water. It's not in any kind of other beverage other than water. And the the amount is for 2 scoops. So that was 400 calories. And then I had some chicken wings for lunch. And when since there's bones in there, when I measured, I have a little scale that we got at Harbor Freight. It's very simple and easy to use. I weighed the chicken wings, and then when I was finished eating the meat and the skin off the wings, I went back and measured the bones, weighed the bones so that I could subtract that. So the meat was 5.6 ounces, 403.24 calories. Yogurt, I make my own. I had 4 ounces of yogurt, and I put some collagen in there, 1/2 scoop of collagen. So that's what I've had so far today. And scrolling down, you'll see it in kind of like a display. Now, it says I've had 20 grams of carbs. I'm supposed to have 10. It calculates it. I'll show you about the calculation. You're supposed to have 10 grams. And the protein powder has, I think, 13 grams of carbs per scoop. So that's where all the carbs are coming from. Normally, the carbs would have been minimal. So And then highlighted nutrients here. Now, the last couple times I had blood work done and I had vitamin B levels and other levels, and my vitamin B was like off the charts. So you can see here, I've gotten 92% vitamin B12 with what I've eaten so far today. So that's why and I don't worry about it because vitamins are good for you. Um, Here it says this is in red because I went over the carbs. We'll check into that. Andrew, hold on. I can't display on the screen your question and go through the chronometer at this. I mean, the chronometer at the same time. So you can see all the nutrients spelled out here, and you can actually. Some of these I added on. They weren't. There's some default settings, but I added on some of this other one just for curiosity's sake to see what kind of levels I was getting. So looking at this sodium one, this is not going to be accurate for me because I always add salt to my coffee. Both cups of coffee had salt in it, and the water that I drink at the gym, it had salt in it. So this sodium reading is not accurate for me personally. So now I'm going to just go down this menu. Charts. So here's the chart. I have had no alcohol for a long time, so you can see the fat to carb to protein ratio. I'm not quite sure how it tracks fasting because I don't add any fasting information in there. So, and I haven't weighed myself lately, so this weight is probably not correct. Nutrition report. This says for the last 7 days. I think, yeah, let's see if I can get 2 weeks. Oh, no, see, you have to upgrade to this gold feature if I want 2 weeks. So we'll just leave it at 7 days. So it tells me for 7 days, from the 6th to the 12th, that I've consumed an average of 1,811 calories. I burned 1876, so I have a surplus of 65 calories. And then the nutrients, you can see again the carbohydrates are in red because I've had too many for that. Okay. I don't think I can print the report here. Oh, maybe I can. I'm not sure if I can print the report because I thought you had to be, oh, here we go. Let's see what happens. No, see, I have to have chronometer gold, so I can't print the report. Snapshots. It's pictures of yourself. So if you're tracking your pictures, then you would put a picture in there, upload a picture in there so you could see your progress. Foods. So here's where you can make some customization, custom meals. I don't think I have any in there. Custom recipes, custom foods. Okay, so here was this is old stuff now. I haven't done this lately, but this is some old stuff. Espresso, some kind of wine I was drinking at the time. A keto bread I was eating at the time. Repeat items. Have to upgrade for that. I don't know what the Oracle is. Ask the Oracle. I'm not sure what that is. It's not bringing up anything. Search foods. So I eat a lot of bacon, coffee. I'm not having avocado right now. Ground beef, yes. Eggs, yes. Egg yolks, yes. But butter, we eat a lot of butter. Chicken breast. Oh, that's something old. We do have macadamias, but I don't eat them very often. So let me just pop over to and look at some of the questions. I'm going to look at them on my phone. Oh no, I want to display them so you guys can see them. So, okay, so let me go up here and look at some of the questions. Okay, Goaty Mom's working off the phone. Kimberly also uses Carb Manager. I'm not familiar with that. So if you want to use Carb Manager, maybe you could reach out to Kimberly. Godi Mom has a subscription to MFP. Want to see how different it is. I'm not sure what that MFP is. She says my macros were set here. Okay, so let's bring this up. Andrew says, I really love the ability to track food by grams of fat instead of calories. Like you said, calories are pretty useless. Yeah, and you know what? Oh, I will show you that in a minute. You can, how to set up your macros. Sorry, double D's, way too small on my phone. Andrew likes the massive database of foods that Chronometer has. Now, I had done a program, I don't know, over a year ago, maybe longer, with Kim Howerton, and she uses Chronometer. And we were able to connect, those of us that were consulting with her at the time, there was like a little group. We were able to connect and link up to her Chronometer so she could share recipes with us. Oracle suggests foods based on the parameters you want, certain micronutrients, or a micronutrient fan. I don't use them much. Okay. Nicholas, if Chronometer's data and I don't know. Somebody up here also uses Chronometer. Maybe they can tell us that. Who was that? Let's see. Oh, it was Kimberly Anderson that uses Carb Manager too. So reach out to Kimberly and see if she can answer that question for you. MyFitnessPal app. I've heard of that, but I think it's okay to use whatever you want to use, just so long as it's convenient for you and not too labor intensive. Just a little side note here. I hate tracking. As many of you have probably done like me, I've done various different diet plans over the years before I found keto. I did Jenny Craig, I did Weight Watchers a couple of times. And of course, they all want you to track. And Weight Watchers, when I was doing it, was a point system. And I just hated it. They didn't have, when I was doing it, they didn't have an electronic format set up. So you had to write in this little book, and it was just a pain in the butt. So what I found out that I did to make it easy for myself, I eat the same thing every day. That way I didn't have to keep figuring it out all the time. I eat the same thing every day. Okay, so let me go back into Chronometer and we can look at how to set up your macros in there. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. I got to find out where it's at in here. Diary, trends, foods. I think it's in more. I think it's under target. Oop. No. Yeah, that's okay. It's in here someplace. I wish this support thing would go away. I can't see profile and targets. Let's try that. Okay, here we go. So it's under profile and targets. So it has you put your date of birth in there, your height, your by centimeters, your weight in pounds, your body fat. I have a scale that measures. It's called Fit Index. I also did Medifast back in the day, and when they closed up shop here where I lived, they said, well, the counselor that I had at the time recommended the Fit Index because she found that the measurements closely matched what their office, the type of scale that their office had done. Okay, so select your preferences to determine the amount of energy you can burn daily. I don't care about calories. Okay, here we go. Weight goal or custom energy target. So my goal is 125 pounds. and I'm measuring it in grams instead of calories. So I put 125 protein, 10 carbs, and 125 fat. And tracking carbohydrates, it says now there's an option for net, and if those of you who have been around here for a while, Dr. Berry does not believe in net carbs. He wants you to track total carbs. So here's some other things that you can put in general, what you're going to look at. Like I checked all these vitamins. I just added some in here today. Minerals, carbohydrates. Now, I didn't check fiber, and I think I'm going to. I don't usually eat fiber unless it's hiding someplace in something else that I'm eating. Lipids. So I like this because it tells you what type of fats that you're taking in. And then protein. There's a lot of amino acids, and a lot of these that you see here are amino acids. So I checked a lot of those. Let me see what else is under the, see this little support thing. I wonder how I get rid of that. Oh, there we go. I want to get rid of that. It just goes, it just comes back. Yeah, I can't get rid of it. I want to go to this. Well, I can't get there. Sorry, guys. So that's the kind of the down and dirty on Cronometer. And when you go back to the diary, go back to the diary here. And I'm going to need to find where I add here. So I'm going to add food, and I'm going to show you some custom stuff here. Okay, here's my custom recipe. So when you, for example, let me go back here and let me put coffee and hold on. I can't remember how I did the, but you can make, it'll ask you if you want to make it a custom food. And so, and you can make recipes and stuff like that. So that's what most of the custom, like here's recipes. For some reason it doesn't want to do it. Well, the coffee with cream was a custom recipe. I hate all these stupid little ads that pop up. Iced coffee with almond milk. I don't remember ever drinking that. Elmhurst coffee. I don't know what that is. Meals. No results found. Foods. No results found. All. So that's kind of the down and dirty of Cronometer. And it doesn't make any difference. Oh, here's the place where you can log your, so you have to have Cronometer Gold if you want to log your fasting. See what the notes are. You can add a note to your diary. I guess say, I went to the gym today, worked out with weights for 35 minutes, rode for the exercise bike, 20 minutes, and on that ride, I did 3 sprint sessions. Save. Okay, there we go. There's my note down there. I went to the gym today, worked out with weights for 35 minutes, rode the exercise bike for 20 minutes, and on that I did 3 sprint sessions. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so now let me see what kind of fitness, what kind of other questions we have here. There's a lot of good comments in here um, from people that are using various different trackers. So if those speak to you, use those trackers. I find Trackly pretty. I find Trackly pretty easy when I'm eating 5 foods only. But when I made Maria's lasagna or Chris's hamburger casserole, that was difficult. Yeah. Does Chronometer follow all of your supplements and various nutrient totals? Yeah. Well, if you select those things like I just showed you in the how to set up your background stuff. Andrew says this is a thing a lot of people don't notice. Most branded foods don't have detailed micronutrient readouts. So suppose you put a half a pound of Hormel pepperoni, that would be missing stuff. Well, there should be a nutritional label on there. I would think that you could access to put in the macros, but you're going to have to weigh it. Just remember, you have to weigh this food. You can't get, even if it says 6 slices of pepperoni equals this on the nutrition thing. I would go by the weight, and a lot of times the weight's going to be in grams, not ounces. But that's one thing I should have showed you. But let's continue on through the questions here. Okay, Andrew. I've been using MyFitnessPal for several years. I recently started to use Chronometer. I found that the food database for me was way better on MyFitnessPal. Chronometer is superior. Oh, yeah, that's good to know. Well, you could track in both if you have the gumption to do it, but I wouldn't. I couldn't get it to let me set any goal besides maintenance. Yeah, there is, I think, a tutorial in there. I kind of showed you where to go to set up your weight and your carbs and all that kind of stuff. You can watch the replay if you can't remember what it was that I said. So I just want to go back to this paper that we talked about. And if you were brand new to this, it's probably a good idea that you track until you get used to looking at serving size, portion sizes and serving sizes. Because, when I was in Weight Watchers, they used to tell you, that the palm of your hand equal, how much meat you were supposed to eat in a meal and all kinds of weird stuff. But I just used a little scale that I got from Harbor Freight, and once in a while I have to change the battery, but it measures in ounces, grams, and pounds. So you've got 3 different methods of measuring. So if you're brand new to this, I would suggest tracking for a while until you get used to looking at stuff and figuring out how much you are actually eating. And the only thing that I measure consistently day after day is my whipping cream. So I keep a tablespoon in a little spoon rest next to the refrigerator. And when I take my cream out of the refrigerator, I take the spoon, measure it, and pour it in my coffee or tea or whatever it happens to be that I'm drinking. So, but once you get, very comfortable with this, you really don't have to track. Now, some people like to track, they like the data. I don't like it. This is probably going to be the last day that I track just because I was trying to figure out if I was eating enough protein. That reminds me. Let me go back. Sorry to keep switching back and forth, but I want to show you something. I'm going to go back to yesterday. So yesterday it said I consumed 1916 calories. I burned 1905 calories, and so I was over by 11 calories. But here's what now. It said I took in 143 grams of protein. So when I put my cursor on the protein, it pops up what I had that was protein. So I had pork, ribs, The chicken should not be on there because I didn't eat that yesterday. Beef, bone broth, eggs, equip collagen, and coffee with cream. The carbs, coffee with cream, eggs cooked. Surprisingly, yes, eggs do have carbohydrates in them. But unless you're super sensitive, we don't typically count those carbohydrates. That's more like a fat. The yolk and the white, the protein is a white is a protein. And then here's the fat. So they counted the pork, the beef, the coffee with cream, the eggs, and the bone broth. Now, there's a day that I want to show you. And then here's all the different nutrients, highlighted nutrients. So here, look at, I had 351% of vitamin B12 needs for the day. That's why my vitamin B12 is always elevated when I get my labs done. Let's go back. There was a day that I was super overloaded, and I want to show you this. It's not that one. Okay, I want to talk about liver a little bit. Dr. Berry pushes liver all the time. And so let's look at liver. And liver has carbohydrates, folks. Yes, it does. But again, that's one of those carbohydrates we don't really worry about because we're worried more about the nutrition and the protein that we're getting from the liver. So the liver that I ate had 433 calories, 66 grams of protein, the carbs 11.6, and the fat was 11.9. You would think that liver would have more fat than that, but it doesn't. Okay, there was another day I wanted to go back and show you because I was really off the charts on that day. This is the day. Okay. So I knew it was the day where I had the ribeye steak. So I had the coffee like I usually did. I had the collagen. I had the protein powder. I eat bacon most mornings, but I didn't have any this morning. I was trying a recipe that Paola posted on in the PhD community of her coffee recipe, and she uses butter powder, so that's why that's in there. I tried that, and then my homemade yogurt, and then I had 13.8 ounces of ribeye steak, and I subtracted the bone, so that was without the bone, 13.8 ounces. So let's highlight that. So there, look at the fat. 80.3 grams of fat out of my allotment for the day, which is supposed to be 134.8. No carbs, protein, a lot of protein, and that steak was over 1,000 calories. So for the whole day, I had 2,054 calories consumed. I burned 1,892. So I was over 161 calories. So I think I'm pretty easily getting 125 or more grams of protein a day, and was the purpose for me doing this. So I probably won't track anymore after I have dinner tonight. I'm making salmon, so we're trying to eat more seafood. We kind of got out of the habit of doing that. Uh, so let me go back to see if there's any questions. Yeah, Paola, Paola, is the one with the recipe. Right, Godi Mom. That's correct. Okay. Yes, Godi Mom, give insight and tracking via eating PhD until full. I talked about this a little bit the other day when I did a live stream video. And Dr. Berry, he'll say two things: eat until you're comfortably stuffed, or eat until you're comfortably full, or he might even say eat until you're satiated and then stop. Well, when he says eat until you're comfortably stuffed, for Marcia, that means like I stuff myself when I eat a Thanksgiving dinner. That's not what you want to do. You want to eat enough protein until you're to the point where I don't think I can eat anymore. I'm not, my pants aren't tight, my belt's not busting out because I'm that stuff like at Thanksgiving, but that's when you need to stop. And the other question is some people say, well, I never can tell if I'm full or not. That's interesting. And that's been a hard one because, and I just had this aha moment about this here within the last year. You know how when you're sitting there and your stomach is kind of growling and making noises, it's growling and you mistaken that growling for being hungry, but you're really not hungry. But you think you are because your stomach is growling. So what that growling indicates is there's digestion going on, and in some cases, if there's some bloating and some discomfort, there's probably some kind of a microbiome issue going on. But you'll know when you're really hungry because you'll get that as the term that we use a lot, hangry. That means you're angry and you're hungry. So now the if you're a keto person or a low carb person, the recommendation is to always eat your protein first. Eat your protein. If you're full after you eat the protein, if there's a veg on your plate, you don't have to eat it. Just leave it there. Save it for tomorrow or whatever. So always eat the protein first. Yeah, Paula says you can do anything with chronometer if you just play with it. Yeah, you're not going to hurt anything, you guys. Just play around with it. That's what I did. I was kind of refamiliarizing myself with it the last couple of days because I knew I was going to do this live stream with you. So, you know, don't be shy. Just play around with it. Okay. Yeah, I don't have the gold either. I'm stingy. I don't want to pay for it. Yes, Nicholas, it does because I don't pay for the premium. I just have the regular membership, and you saw what I had there. Yeah, hangry. Okay, here's a question from Godi. I had bariatric surgery 9 years ago, so pleasantly stuffed comes quick. Yeah. And if you have a particular question about that relates to difficulty since bariatric surgery, you can always reach out to Neil's wife. She had some type of bariatric surgery. I don't know the extent of it, but she's pretty familiar with the side effects and whatnot of that. I know when I'm hungry, when the food on the plate disappears real fast, I wolf it down. Yeah, and you know what? I think that's if you can prevent yourself from doing that, it'll get. I think it's better all the way around for your digestive system. I had a tendency for doing that because I was a nurse. I'm retired now, but I was a nurse that worked in a hospital, and I never got to sit there for 30 minutes and eat my meal relaxed in a relaxed state. I always had to shovel it in. So try not to do that if you can help it. Does anybody have any questions? Is anybody going to ditch the tracking, or do you think you're going to do it? Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Dr. Berry had an interview right before this live stream, and I want to bring up this. I recommend you go back and watch it when you have time. This doctor's name was Dr. Ravi, Ravi Campanale. I'll type it in here. Um, he's basically a infectious disease and a wound care specialist. He's based out of Georgia, but he is Indian by original birth, and he does have a clinic or something in India that he works with patients there. And one of the things that he said, it was kind of over the halfway mark in the interview, and I wrote it down because I wanted to bring it up to you guys. He sees a lot of patients that have quite severe wounds with due to diabetes or something like that, circulatory problems, whatever that causes. And so evidently he has his own tracking app and he has his own um, biometric program, screening program. So what he tells them to do is to track their food, their glucose, and their blood ketones every day, and keep a spreadsheet of that, and then you can get a sense for. And also, once he feels like once they get more in the realm of things, then he starts to suggest how they need to maybe change their diet. He finds out how they eat and then change their diet. And so, pardon me. So, by tracking the food, the glucose, and the ketones, and then they can start tracking their food. Then they can see um, they can see where where they're progressing at, or where do they need to make some changes. So if you don't track glucose or ketones right now, the best way to do that, and you're interested in doing that, the best way to do that is to get the blood meter. The urine strips and the breath meters don't really work very well. You can get them off of Amazon. They're the one that people talk about all the time is I think it's the Mojo. Anyways, I just before that came out, I just went to Amazon and bought one off of there, and I don't track that anymore. I did for a while. I was tracking ketones and glucose just to see, because I'm one of those people that I would say 98% carnivore, meat based, and my when I would get my labs done, my fasting glucose levels would be high, and I had actually a couple of years ago, my A1C went up to 5.7. Thank you, Double Keto Mojo. Went up to 5.7. And at the time, I was consulting with Dr. Sivas, the carb addiction doc. And it freaked me out. And he was trying to settle me down. And back then, I didn't know about the glycated albumin test. So he just said, well, just keep tracking. And, eventually it came back down. But so, and then the ketones, listened to somebody the other day, and and I can't remember, I apologize, guys. Somebody said after you're become fully fat adapted, the ketone readings are going to go down. So don't be worried about that. But a lot of people want the ketones to be high, especially those who are trying to improve their mental status, because elevated ketones helps to improve your mood. So, but I didn't realize that. So that was something that I learned, that once you become truly fat adapted, a lot of times your ketone levels will go down. Dr. Berry has talked about it, that his ketone levels, when he checks them, might be zero point 0.4. Anisha's will be 1 or higher. So everybody's ketones, display differently. Um, Just because you're not showing ketones doesn't mean you're not in some state of ketosis, because keto stands for ketosis. And it's a ketosis that's nutritional ketosis. It's not a ketoacidosis, tongue twister, like diabetics get. Okay, so we have a question. How do I tell if I'm insulin resistant? Well, basically, you need to get some labs done, because if your insulin level is chronically high, that means you're insulin resistant. Go to Dr. Berry's YouTube channel and search for that. I know he's got videos on it. That is one of the things Dr. Rob, yeah, he did mention it. Um, Insulin resistance and elevated A1C typically go, elevated insulin resistance is elevated insulin levels that won't come down. That's because whatever you're feeding your body, the insulin has to stay up, up, up all the time to keep the glucose from going sky high. So if you adopt a keto, low carb keto, carnivore diet, you should resolve that insulin resistance. Anything else? Well, we kind of wrapped it up a little early. We've got 15 more minutes. If there's anybody that wants me to go over anything in the chronometer, I can switch back there again and we can look at that. Or if you have any other questions in general about the proper human diet, feel free to speak up. You're welcome, Caroline. Okay, good. Okay. RKH, carnivore for 6 months. Arms look like alligator. You mean the kind of crepey looking skin? Is that what you mean? Because I have that too. If it's the crepey looking skin, I haven't had a lot of success with it, but some people do. If you do, if you do intermittent fasting, some people can do extended fasting for a couple of days or do one meal a day, like a meal every 23 hours or something like that. But the only thing is that's going to take a while to resolve. There is some thought out there. One of the doctors who switched into the gut microbiome space, Dr. Davis, he used to be a cardiologist. Okay, not crepe. So you mean thick skin? I'm not quite sure how. Yeah, I've been taking collagen. That's why you see on my chronometer that I had um, the collagen in my. I added it to my yogurt and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't quite know how to answer that. Yes, and dry. Okay, so RK. Okay, so RKH said yes and dry. So thick skin, I have it. There's not really anything you can do about the thick skin. I had it. I've had it for years and years and years. Um, as far as I know, I might be wrong. Dry skin, you probably aren't adding enough fat to your diet. So, but you know what? Next time you're able to participate, RKH, in a live stream with Dr. Berry, ask him about the alligator skin. See what he says. He's not a big proponent of collagen supplementation. In fact, with the interview with Dr. Ravi today, he asked, because Dr. Ravi mentioned it, and he asked Dr. Ravi, so how do you want people to get their collagen? Do you want them to take a supplement or do you want to eat meat, eggs, and bone broth? And he says meat, eggs, and bone broth. Yes, bone broth should, a true bone broth, not the kind that looks like chicken soup. It's got to be the true bone broth where you can see it's thickened like with collagen. And I started making my own, and it's really easy to make. Typically I'll make the chicken because I like using the chicken feet that you can purchase at the Mexican grocery store. And I just did one the other day with beef bones, and it just doesn't have as much collagen in it as the chicken feet does. What protein powder did you? Yeah, it's called, hold on, let me just switch over. Oh, wait, maybe I can go to my phone and look at it. Health Code, I think is what it's called. Hold on. Okay, it is called, it's HLTH code. I'll type it in, and they call it a complete meal. HLTH code complete meal. Of course, as you know, probably know, Dr. Berry doesn't believe in those either. But for, I would say, probably 75% of the people that are new to this way of eating, they don't really need it because all they need to do is adjust their diet and they'll do fine. But for those of us that have been around for a while and we're trying to supplement our diet, but we don't, maybe we want to keep the fat content a little lower, stuff like that helps us. And if you talk to any of the coaches in the PhD community, they all use products that Dr. Berry typically doesn't recommend. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you use them, but his standard answer is, well, it's probably a waste of money, but if you want to use it, that's fine. Go ahead. It doesn't bother me. So, but I trust Ben Bickman. He's just such a brainiac. Every time I listen to him, I'm just so in awe. And he's so nice, so very nice. Let's see, what else can I think to blab on to you guys about? Um, so, since Dr. Berry did this interview, and he's back from Texas, they were there visiting family, and they got to catch the eclipse down there. So the kids had fun with that. And he'll be back on his regular schedule starting Monday of next week. He'll, do the typical Monday Night Live, and then he'll do the in-network live streams for everybody. So RKD or RKH, ask him about the alligator skin next time you get on one of those. And share what you learn with us in the PhD community. Just type it in the chat and say, this is what Dr. Berry said. Let me just go to the PhD community feed, and I'll mirror. I'll put you over there. Share screen. So when Dr. Berry says in his live streams to put it in the chat, the main chat, this is what he's talking about. So it's the PhD community, all members access, and you have to put it here. You can put it in the chat, but if it's something, the chat messages scroll by quickly and they get lost. So if it's something you want to make sure that people see, the chat is like a traditional chat, like on Facebook or Instagram or any other chat social media platform. But if you put it here in feed, it's just so much easier to find. Here's somebody that was eating, looks like oysters or something. Ooh, kind of gross. But anyways, so yeah, if you have, share those nuggets with us in the PhD community, and people will reply back. A lot of times you'll get hearts, or they'll say thank you, or they might ask you another question or something like that. Cody adds protein to a drink, some supplementing. Oh, okay. Yes. When you have special situations like that, yes, Dr. Berry would say yes, that's just fine. And especially since most people, depending on what type of bariatric surgery you had, you might have to eat smaller, more frequent meals. I mean, as most of you probably know, Dr. Berry eats one meal a day. Nisha's typically like two. I go between, I'm usually about two. I tried doing OMAD a couple of times and I got the hangry feeling. So I kind of pulled back from that for a while. So, but I can tell you one thing, if you do that, you'll lose body fat a lot quicker. So, and for those of you who don't know, we have a member here in the community called Les Kicking Ass After 70, and he's a master at fasting. So he's on vacation right now. So, but in the future, if any of you want help with fasting, reach out to Les. Yeah, Nicholas, I don't know. You know who you could ask? I'm not a digestive enzyme person. Reach out to Paola in the Paola's coaching space, or you could private message her and ask her. She's an excellent resource when it comes to supplementation. Yeah. Back in the day, but way before keto, because I used to do like the high carb, low fat, low salt type of diet. And I was going with a chiropractor at the time that was also a kinesiologist. And he would use his kinesiology, which is like a muscle type of testing that they do. He would use his kinesiology testing, and then he would recommend like an enzyme. And I know he used to have us taking papaya and or betaine, BETAIN, hydrochloride, betaine, HCl, or papaya. Betaine hydrochloride papaya. Um, are you are you happy with the Berg's enzymes? Just make sure they're doing for you what you had hoped they would do. Cody says, I eat two and pleasantly full, not hungry for hours, so smaller meals. Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever works. Ad nauseum, we use the expression n equals one. So you're the one, n is whatever it is that you're doing at the time. If it doesn't work for you, then you need to move on to something else. Okay, that's good. So she says, I mean, um, Double D's says that the Berg enzymes work great. So good, go for it. Keep going. Any other questions from anybody? So I already told you that. Forget it. Oh, what was I gonna do? Was I gonna look up something in Chronometer? Can't remember. Anyways, that's what happens when you get old. You get short-term memory syndrome. Well, I think I'm gonna end this session and let you all go on about your lives. It's almost 2 o'clock here in Southern California. So whatever time zone that you are in, have a pleasant evening and have a great weekend. And I'll see you in the network. Bye, everybody.